welcome back to the final part of this border collie tutorial. I'm saying final part because I want to get him done. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do, but we're gonna finish him in this session. We've got the white collar to do and the transition between the black fur and the white fur. So we've got quite a bit to do, but we will do it. So we're going to start with the white fur, and then we can transition the black fur into the white fur, and then it'll be final details and the piece will be done. So we're going to start as usual with the warm grey as a base, and we're going to come all the way around the top of this white collar that he's got going on. So I've just got my piece of paper and I'm going to start as usual with the warm grey one as a base layer, and I'm bringing the base layer right up to where we're going to blend into this black fur. And then I'm going to taper those edges off so we get a nice soft edge. I think I just need to move this up a bit. Hang on, let me just push him up a little bit. There we go, so you can see what we're doing down here. And I'm going to bring this up here as well. So this is the warm grey one. As usual, we've been using the warm grey one as our base layer the whole way through. So it should be no surprise that I've gone back to the warm grey one. Then I'm going to get the warm grey 2. And just going to go in and add some of this detail. Hang on, sorry, yeah, that I can see. So again, I'm going over some of this white hair. Can see, and then I'm just going to sharpen this. It's not quite sharp enough. I want some nice sharp lines. The warm grey 2 is going to act as a some of the shadows. That's what I'm trying to focus on in this part. That's going to start coming up here. It's going to be quite dark nearer where the black fur is going to be, so you can see how large a gap we've got where the black fur needs to be brought down. Hopefully I've not left too much black fur to fill in. And then I'm just going to go back over the top of this warm grey 2 with the warm grey 1 and smooth that out. So taper those edges and you get that nice soft line. And then the warm grey 1 again. I'm just going to start bringing more of this base layer. And then back to the warm grey 2. And then I'm going to bring in the warm grey 3 because this area is quite dark. So we're going to bring in this warm grey 3 just to add some more definition. So I'll get the warm grey 3. I've got a nice sharp tip on the warm grey 3, and I'm going to bring some of these darker shadows into the fur. And this is mainly, the darker shadows are mainly coming where we've got the black fur. It's mainly where I'm seeing the shadows that I need to add. It's coming down, and this area is quite dark, so I'm going to add a bit more of the warm grey 3. And then I'm just going to take the warm grey 1 again over the top. like so. I'm going to keep the warm grey one, and I'm going to bring in this black fur. Now, because I've got the warm grey free here, it shouldn't be too hard to distinguish between the two sections, but that doesn't matter either because we are going to be overlaying the fur. So I'm just coming in with this warm grey one as the base layer. And then I'll get the dark indigo. And I'm just going to follow this fur. And I'm going to start overlapping some of the blue into that white. I'm going to start just really starting to get this collar and this black markings mapped in. And by doing it like this way, I've decided to do it like a bit of the white fur, a bit of the black fur, just so that we're not stuck doing all white and then coming back to all black. I thought it might be a bit more interesting for you all if we got to do a little bit of each. Okay, so this is the dark indigo. Right, I've just zoomed you in a bit because I realise you're quite far out. Now I'm going to take the Paynes Grey, and I'm going to take this Paynes Grey over the top where we've just gone with the dark indigo. And again, we're blending the section that's already got pigment down, blending over that so that it all looks like it's one section of fur. I've taken all the footage and I'm going to make a big time lapse of this piece, which will be interesting to see. I think it will. And then I'm tapering the edges over this white fur. And you can go over a couple of times with the Paynes Grey just to darken it up. Yeah, like so. Right, I'm then going to take the, I'm just wondering which one I want. I think I'm going to take the dark sepia. Sorry, I've just knocked that. Trying to grab the pencil. So it's quite brownish at the ends of this fur, so I'm just bringing the dark sepia very lightly, adding these wispy bits of fur in, so the tapered edges, and then I'm going to do the same over this section of fur that we've just added in, which is a bit longer, so I'm going to bring this fur further down, and I'm going to add these wispy strands in. And then just bring that dark sepia up, just to help with the blending here. And then I'm adding in some of those shadows. I can see. Okay, I'm then going to take the warm grey 6 and I'm just going to go over this section. Just going to knock back some of this blue ever so gently, not pressing too harsh. Just going to knock it back a little bit, and I'm just going to bring in some of that again, some wispy hairs. So by doing these wispy hairs all different colours, just And by colours, I mean like the different tones of the greys that we're using. It's just going to make it look a little bit more realistic. And then I'm just going to go over this section here and bring it up. So we're starting to really get this nice section coming together. Going to get the black, and with the black I'm just coming over these edges again, just going to smooth out. I've got a bit of a harsh edge here, so I'm just going to use the black to help smooth that out. And then again I'm just going to use this black ever so lightly in some of these shadows, and then just to glaze over the top of some of these sections. Okay, like so. So we're getting there. Let's keep going. Back to the warm grey one base layer. Okay, so we're going to start getting some of the cooler tones now coming through with this white fur. So still going to use the warm grey one as a base layer, but we're going to start overlaying some of the cold grey. Just like we did on the muzzle, if you remember up here, we have the warm grey going into the cold grey. I'm going to start doing this with this collar. So I've got the warm grey one as a base layer. Just going to drag this down a little bit for this faded edge. And I'm just going to bring this base layer up a bit further around his neck like so. So just applying this warm grey one. And then we need to get the white, and we need to just soften the ends of this faded edge. So I need to just find my white pencil. Got my white, and I'm just along the bottom, dragging that pigment down. And it's just going to help give us that nice faded edge on this piece. I'll do it along the bottom there as well. Okay. Then we're going to take the cold grey one, which I've got to the side here. And I just need to sharpen this. And we're going to start overlaying some of the cold grey one over the warm grey. So that we can start getting a transition to the cooler tones. So I've got the cold grey one now. And I'm just sort of halfway down this section, coming over with the cold grey one. And I'm sort of going to taper upwards into that warm grey, and then we're going to taper it down so that it fades out into this blurred edge. So up and taper, and down and taper. And I'm just going to bring it along here a bit more. And then I'm just going to go over that again with the warm grey one. Here. And then I'm going to take the warm grey 2 again, just because we've got a bit of shadow going on. So I'm just going to bring this down and along here. So you can't really see this blue tone as such. We've got a nice neutral grey going on, where the warm grey and the cold grey have mixed together. That's fine. That is totally fine. Okay, and then I'm just going to get that white again, just drag that pigment down because we've added some cooler tones. Just going to drag that down over the top. Now I am going to start bringing some more of this white collar up here before we come in and start adding the rest of the black fur. So I'm coming in with the warm grey one again. And I'm just making sure that I'm following where this fur is going to be. So I'm going to come to about here, about halfway up. And then I'm going to bring this fur down about this far. Excuse me, got a bit of a cough tonight. Been out in the cold with the dog and it's definitely affected me. I went outside without a hat on and it's given me a bit of a headache, which is when I start sniffling quite a bit and coughing. I'm hoping it doesn't turn into a migraine. Right, so I'm coming, I don't know if you can see sort of like this backwards or an upside down L, backwards L shape with the warm grey one. Then I'm going to very lightly, I'm not pressing hard with the warm grey one, just adding a slight light layer, and then we're going to come into the cold grey one. So I'm going to come over the warm grey one with this cold grey, and we're starting to come into a nice warm area of not warm, cold area of fur, sorry. So if you do follow along with this tutorial and you finish the piece, somebody asked me what you're allowed to do with the pieces. So if you post it online, I'd just like credit that it was a photo by me and a tutorial by me. And you're free to make prints, cards, all that sort, sell the piece. That's perfectly fine. That's why I've chosen a photo that I took, so that you have all that permission from me. I'm going to be making greeting cards, possibly prints, I'm not quite sure yet. And obviously I'm going to try and sell the original. I think I'm going to see if the owner wants it first. We'll see. I may keep it because I'm really happy with this piece. Right, so that's the cold grey one. I've then got the white, and I'm going again along the bottom of the page just to help with this blurred edge. Okay. Then I'm going to take the warm grey 2 where we've got some shadows, and I'm just going to start adding them in with this warm grey 2, and again just tapering off at the end. Bit of a darker shadow there. And then I'm going to come in with a warm grey, cold grey 1, sorry, just over the top of that warm grey, and again just blend. I'm going to take the white and I'm just going to press in with this white over the top of all of this cold grey, and this is going to burnish the paper, so it's going to really push this pigment into the paper. It's going to give that really smooth look to the fur. And it's not this isn't something I normally do, but for this part of the fur I feel like it needs it. This is the warm grey 1. I'm just going to blend upwards here. It's a bit harsh. Can't go over that white too much. But yeah, that's better. So we're starting to get a nice look transition between the warm grey into the cold grey. So now we'll go back to the fur. So the warm grey 1, and again just with the base layer. So I'm just going to do it section by section. Again, warm grey 1 to the dark indigo. And again, I'm constantly looking back at my reference photo to see the fur direction. I'm not going to bring the blue all the way down because it doesn't need to. And then again, going over where we've already got the blue. And then I'm going to take the Paynes Grey over the top. I wanted to start singing that over the top and far away song then. It popped straight into my head. So I'm just going to bring this down now. This is still the Paynes Grey right over the top. And then the dark sepia. And again, this is going to add those nice wispy lines that we can see. So I'm bringing this down over the Paynes Grey and the dark indigo, and then creating those loose lines, light pressure. And I'm not holding it too tightly at the tip. I want it to be loose in my hand, so that I get some really loose lines. I don't want these lines to be tight, and by that I mean like if I was holding it really here and really following the fur, you get a right really tight line. So I'm not doing that. I'm just giving the sense that there's movement in the fur, but I'm doing it quite quickly so that I get that looser look in the fur. I'm then going to get the warm grey free, if it's here. This area is quite darker here, so I'm just going to bring it underneath here with the warm grey free. And then get that dark sepia again, just to darken this edge. It's just blending in a little bit too much. And add those wispy lines back in. And then any areas you need to darken, just go back in if you need to. So I've gone back in with the Paynes Grey, a bit more of a blue tone here. And then I'm going to get that black and just glaze over, knock back a bit of this blue. Not too much in this section. This section is quite blue here, but as we come over a bit more, this is a bit darker. And then again, just some more wispy lines. Doesn't have to be accurate. And then the warm grey free. I've got another darker shadow here. So I'm just going to come in with this warm grey free. So the more layers you add, the more depth you're going to get to the fur. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is looking. This is the warm grey one, just to help get that blurred edge again. Like so. So we can keep coming up the fur. This is just the black. I'm just going to add in some of these shadows that I've knocked back a little bit too much. And the Paynes Grey back over the top, just to help blend these out. Like so. And then it's back to the warm grey one, and we're going to get this bit of fur in now. And this part of the black fur is curling this way around. The dark indigo. dark indigo, and the Paynes Grey. With this tutorial being so long, I feel like I've run out of things to say. Because it's the same things all the time. Check your reference photo for direction. And I don't want you all becoming bored with me saying it over and over again. And not much has happened. I've been busy doing Christmas commissions. I have one left. And then I'm done for the year. Well, I'm not. I have a few pieces that I need to catch back up on that are for close friends. So there's no time limit on them, but I'd like to get them finished. So yeah, I've got a lot of work still to do. Ready for next year. This is the dark sepia. I'm just going to add in shadows. I have some really cute animals on my drawing board next year, and lots of animals that I haven't drawn before. So I actually will be drawing some degus, and I will be drawing a penguin. So very, very different to dogs. So they're going to be really interesting. And obviously I've got lots of dogs to draw. Okay, I'm going to take the warm grey 6 and I'm going to bring the warm grey 6 over this fur as well. And then I'm going to start adding some of these stray hairs in. Got quite a few going on here. A few curvy ones. And then the hair starts coming this way with the strands of hair. That's going up there. I'm just going to bring this down. I'm going to get the black very gently over this part of the fur, just darkening up that shadow as well. So that shadow, remember, his shadows are clumps of fur. Just overlapping any other areas that I feel I just need to add more pigment to. Okay. So I've just zoomed you out a bit because as I've been drawing, I've noticed that this area is looking very flat and we need to start upping some of the contrast. So we're going to take the black and I'm just going to start darkening some of these areas with the black. Not pressing too hard, but we're going to start adding in just a few more shadows and blending these shadows out and down just to give that more contrast. Now, if you're struggling to look at a piece, if you looked at this piece and thought it looked okay, and you're struggling to see where you need to add more contrast, something that I advise you to do is take a photo. Take a photo of the piece, and then in the phone's editing software, you can edit the photo on your phone if you take it on your phone, or you can do it on the computer. Turn that picture into black and white. So turn down the saturation, turn it off, turn it into black and white. And when you turn it into black and white, you will see areas where it all looks the same. And you'll see areas where you need to add contrast, you'll see areas where you need to add more highlight. And it's something that I do regularly. I like to turn my pieces into black and white, because when you've been staring at a piece for a while, you start noticing or not noticing where shadows need to be, and everything sort of looks the same. Whereas when you've turned it black and white, you can go, ah, okay, this area needs a bit more contrast, or this area needs more highlights. It's really helpful. Or you can flip the image. When you flip it, again, you're looking at it in a different way. It's all about tricking your brain. Because your brain takes over sometimes. Decides it knows what it's doing. It doesn't, not all the time. So now that I've done this, I'm a lot happier that we've started getting some more shadow, more depth into this fur. And it's looking more natural and more realistic. And then I'm just going to go back over some of this with the Paynes Grey as well. Not too much, and I'm not going too much over the black. I don't want to dilute down that black. Just going over where I need a bit more of this blue tone. And then if I need more shadow, coming in with the black. Now you can do this bit at the end, but I just got to a point where I was like, I need the shadow adding so that I know what I'm doing. Right, so we will keep going with this fur. I'm now going to take the cold grey one, and we're coming back down into this white fur. But now we're using the cold grey one as a base layer. Just going to go over here. Seems quite dark. Let me just sharpen this one. It's looking very dark there. I might glaze over with the white again. And then just soften off to the edges there. And then again, just going to bring it up. It's not quite dark as this cold grey one. It's strange. Okay, and then I'm going to just take the white over the top of this cold grey one. Just push that pigment back into the paper. And then I'm just going to take the cold grey one and just going to blend it again into this bit of fur that we've already got mapped in. Just so that it all blends together. And I've got that faded edge, so just drag that pigment down. And then I've got the warm grey 2, just where it's a bit darker. Just going to bring a bit of this warm grey 2 down. Now remember, because, excuse me, oh sorry, hiccup, because we've added a bit of the white, you won't get as much of the pigment down. The white acts as a resist. That's fine, don't worry about it. I'm just adding a bit of the warm grey 2, just to add a bit of a shadow. A bit more shadow in this part of the fur as well. And then the cold grey one, going over the top just to blend together. Like so. Oops. And then I'm going to take the cold grey one again up here. I'm just going to sort of taper these edges out again as we get to the bottom of the, as we get to the edge where you want the tapered lines to be. So we've got a nice transition between the warmth into this cold area here. And then I'm just going to blend, taper those lines. And then I'm going to take the warm grey one, and I'm going to bring the warm grey one along the bottom here, and then it's sort of coming up this section of the white fur here. And get that neutrally warmish, coldish tone here, and then blend again here, and then I'm just going to bring that shadow at the top here. Bring that down. And then I'm going to take the white and I'm just going to use the white to burnish this section. So just push that pigment into the paper. So I'm pressing really hard with this white pencil. Really pushing that paper into the, pushing that pencil into the paper. And then dragging it down where I want that faded line. Like so. I'm then going to take my Coal Grey 2 and I'm going to use the Coal Grey 2 to create just some little shadows. So I'm just adding in some little shadow lines. Not many, and I'm not pressing hard. This is just glazing over the top of that layers. It's just going to create some dark clumps of fur. I can feel that resist from the white pencil, which is fine. Like so. And then again coming in with the warm grey one for the base layer for the fur, the black fur. So I'm just going to add this base layer in, making sure I'm covering all that paper there. And then it's the dark indigo. So I've got a bit of the fur coming this direction. So I'm making sure I'm following that fur. Always following that fur direction. And that curves it up. And then that bit comes down here. So this is curving down and round here. And that section is coming down here as well. So it follows the rest of that fur. Down there. The Paynes Grey, and again remember we're blending from one section into another, so we're constantly getting these two areas to blend nicely together. Always following this fur direction, and I'm using that Paynes Grey to give some of that wispy fur. Like so. Increase your pressure with the Paynes Grey if you want to make it darker in areas. And I'm tapering those edges to give that really soft, wispy look at the edges of this fur. Like so. Then taking the dark sepia is what I want. And I'm just going over where I can see some like brownish greyish tones. I'm going to use the dark sepia in those areas, especially with like these wispy ends of fur, and then over the top of some of these areas as well. We've got some really nice long wispy hairs coming down, and then we've got this area here as well. You see how it's just starting to really all come together now. Getting a really nice layover between the black and the white fur, and then I'm using that dark sepia to add in some shadows if I need to. So it's a bit warm in here tonight. And it might be because I feel like I'm getting a really bad headache. May finish filming this tomorrow. Have a rest. Okay. Right. What I'm going to do is I want a flat edge at this side of the paper. So I'm going to actually get my tape. Now the tape that I use is Framers tape. I use Framers tape because I found it's never ripped my paper. Other people use Scotch tape, the Scotch Magic tape. I think some people use washi tape as well. This is if you want to have a straight edge. Don't need to, you can do the faded edge look. I just want a straight edge. So I'm just going to take a bit of my tape. And I am going to bring it along here. And I think I'm going to go, trying to work out how far down I want to go with this. Bring it about here. And I'm just going to stick that tape down. So we've got quite a bit to come over, but this will give me a nice straight edge at this end. Yeah, so we've got the coal grey one, and I'm going to bring the coal grey one all the way along here. Again, I'm going to fade that edge. So I'm going to taper that edge along here, and then just draw right up and over the tape is what I do. And that way when I've finished this whole side, I'll have a nice straight edge along here. And then I'm just bringing that tape, that one coal grey one, all the way along here. And then the warm grey one again over the top. And then just taper that edge. And then I have the gold grey one, and this gold grey comes up here, and it comes sort of down here. I'm just looking at the reference photo and just following where I can see this white collar, and it comes down here. So, and then I'm just going in with this coal grey one as the base layer. I'm just going to sharpen this. I want a nice sharp pencil just for this base layer. And again, following the fur directions, it's starting to curve up and round now. Making sure I'm rotating my pencil so that I'm always using the sharp point of the pencil. And then I'm going to get the warm grey one. So we've got warmer tones up here. And a few warmer tones sort of halfway down. And then I'm just going to blend these two tones over. And a bit warm grey one. And then once again take the white and just push this pencil pigment into the paper. And drag that pigment down. So, then got the warm grey 3, and I'm just going to add in some of the darker shadow lines very loosely where I can see them. And some darker clumps of fur just for the shadows. Again, just where I can see them. Like so. Then got the warm grey one for the base layer. And as before, I'm just going to take dark indigo and this is the Paynes Grey. This isn't dark indigo, this is Paynes Grey, which is fine. I've just missed the dark indigo step, but actually it's working quite nicely. It's not quite blue toned, or as blue toned, so I'm not too worried. If you've added dark indigo, just use the previous steps, that's perfectly fine. Apparently I can't read anymore and I've picked up the dark Paynes Grey. Wasn't paying attention. And then dark sepia for these wispy lines. So it comes down here. Like so. Okay. Nearly there. So close. Okay, I'm then taking my coal grey one again. Again using the sharp point pencil lid. And I'm going to bring it all the way up to where these darker markings are going to be. And I'm just doing it along the edge here where we've got some of the darker fur is going to come in, and we're going to blend these two areas together. It's going to come down here a bit. So I'm just kind of following the shape where the black fur is. And then I can bring the rest of the coal grey where we've got this white collar. Oh, I'm getting the hiccups. So I do hope you guys have enjoyed this. I know it's been a really long tutorial and some areas have been quite complicated. But you've got a bit of experience with everything now. You've drawn black fur, you've drawn white fur. You've got the blend between the two different furs, and we've got different lengths of fur going on in this piece. So yeah, I hope it's been enjoyable. I know it's been really long. I'll try and not do as long a tutorial next time. It's hard though, because like this is how long my portraits take. I spend a lot of time on them. I could easily spend another 10-15 hours on this piece. I'm not going to. I don't think he'd want to be sat here for another 10-15 hours. And this is the thing with coloured pencils. Like, I know there's people out there that like they do tips and tricks that speed up their process, and they want to be done, they want a good result, but they want to be done quickly, whereas I really enjoy the process of spending time, and I definitely milk the amount of time I have a piece on my board, but I really like it, and I like how slow the pencils are to build up with the layers. I don't want to cheat that. I don't want any like quick ways. I want to spend my time building up the layers and getting that portrait just right. Okay, that's the cold grey one down. I've got the warm grey one. I'm just gonna again sharpen this. I need a nice sharp point. So I've got the warm grey one, and I'm gonna bring the warm grey one down here, and I'm not gonna go over all of the fur. About halfway down, just going to neutralise the colour here a little bit more. And then just along this edge with the warm grey one again. And along here. So gently. And then once again, I'm going to take the white. I just need to sharpen it. It's a bit blunt. I'm going to just use that white to really blend these two pieces. Blend the pigment into the paper. And I'm doing this just where I've got the white fur, or the cold grey and warm grey fur. And I'm just going to push that pigment right into the paper with this white pencil. So this is also lightening the cold grey ever so slightly, and just helping us get a nice lay down of the pencil. Like so. I'm then going to take the cold grey 2. No, not the cold grey 2. I want I'm trying to think. Let's take the I do want a cold grey, but I don't want this is the cold grey 4. And we're going to start adding in the markings that I can see down here. So it's got very lightly, I'm not pressing hard, but I'm coming in and adding some of these darker markings that I can see now with the cold grey 4. Bringing that down here. I'm just adding in the darker markings that I can see coming through the fur with the cold grey 4. Not pressing too hard, just enough to be able to go over where we've burnished and add in that darker marking that we can see. can also see some of the black fur coming through here. So I'm going to take the Paynes Grey 4 again and just start adding in some of the darker fur that I can just see peeking through. And this is the Warm Grey 3. Here we've got a darker shadow, which is obviously where the black markings are going to start coming through. It's just not as dark here yet. And along here. And then I'll just take that white again, just burnish over the top. Help with that blending just along that bottom bit here. Okay, and then we need the Warm Grey 1 for this black marking here. So I'm just applying this base layer. I'm going to take the Warm Grey 6 and I'm going to go over the area where we've already got pigment and then bring those tapered edges and those wispy lines out to about here. We do need the Walnut Brown. Got a bit of a brown tone. So I've got the Walnut Brown and I'm just going over and again pulling that pigment, creating those really wispy lines along here with the Walnut Brown, going over that pigment we've previously drawn in. And then I'll go back to the Warm Grey 6, back over, just creating these darker markings coming over the white collar. And if you're struggling with pressure, hold your pencil higher up and that'll really help you gauge the pressure. You won't be able to press too hard. If I try and press hard, I can't. This is as much pressure as I can exert, and that's just the about the right amount of pressure for this part of the fur that I want anyway. You can see it's just really starting to wispy lines in, and there's a lot going on here, so I'm just gonna wisp them in, not worry too much about the placement as such. I just want them to look going in the right direction. Okay, and then I'm going to get the Walnut Brown again, come over the top with this Walnut Brown, pressing a little harder. And those wispy lines in. And then we'll get the Paynes Grey again. Come back in with this Paynes Grey and blend over the top. Again, I'm just going to add a few little wispy lines with the Paynes Grey. And then I'm going to take the black and I'm just going to darken up some of these shadowed areas again. Need to add that contrast. So where I don't have any contrast, I'm going in with this black and just upping it. Going up and under this fur. And this is just adding some more contrast to the piece. And I'm just going to lightly bring this black over here as well. Not as a straight line, want to kind of stagger it, make it look realistic. And then just down here as well. Okay, and then I'm going to take the warm grey one again. It's a base layer along here. Back over there. And then I've got the walnut brown. And I'm just going to bring this walnut brown over here. And bring it a bit further up here. So I'm going back over some of the areas that we've already got. Then the warm grey 3. I'm just going to add this in over here. And then back to the warm grey 5. Make sure my head's not getting in the way. Last thing you need is to see my head. And this is the warm grey 5, just to help darken up this section. And then again, I'm just going to sort of blend circular motions along this edge. And then the warm grey 5 is coming into here. It's curving up there. So, then the Paynes Grey. Again, just making sure any areas where I feel like it needs to be blended is being blended. I'm going to take the warm grey 1 and I'm just going to blend over the top here. Circular motions just to get that nice smooth blend, and then I can taper with the warm grey 1 over this edge. And that'll really help give us that smooth edge to this part of the fur. Bring that up and round as well with the warm grey 1. And then I've got the coal grey 4. And I'm just going to bring this over and start creating some of the wispy lines. And all this is with the warm grey 4. And I just need to bring some more this warm grey 4. And it's just a matter now of adding some of those wispy lines in. I'm just going to bring warm grey 4 up here. Okay, I've then got the Paynes Grey, and this mark in here needs to be darker, so I'm just going to come down with the Paynes Grey. And add in this fur. Coal grey 4 again. Over the top, like so. And then I'm taking the coal grey 1. I'm just going to add in some of those. This needs to be sharper, it's got a blunt end. I'm going to add those wispy lines that you can see along the top of the neck fur. And I'm going to do this with the coal grey 1. So again, it's not a perfectly straight coat. It's got some nice wispy lines coming off of the edge of his coat here. And then the Paynes Grey, I'm just going to bring that bluish tinge in again. Bring these wispy fur lines very lightly. over this fur. Like so. I'm just going to remove this bit of tape now. Oops, that's stuck. And you'll see how I've got a nice straight edge where I want one. You can see that the tape doesn't rip the paper. So now it's just a matter of adding final details and adding in shadows where I need shadows. So I can see I need a bit more on the top of his head. So let me move the camera so you can see. So I got the Paynes Grey, and I am just going to add some more layers of Paynes Grey on his face here, and then I'm going to use the black to create some shadow for those clumps of fur. This is a point where you add what you need to your portrait. So this is what I need to add to mine to make him the way that I want him to be. You might not need to add any black here or any more layers. You may want to add it elsewhere. So this is the point where you do what you need to do for your piece. And now I've got the black, and I'm just going to come in here with more shadow I need to add here. And then bring that to some shadowed areas down here. So at this point I'm still looking at my reference photo, but very soon I'm going to put the reference photo away and I'm going to look at the piece as a whole, and I'm going to see what my piece needs. Okay, just need to darken just around his face. And I want to just darken down here a little bit as well. I'm going to take the warm grey 6 for down here. Instead of the black, this is warm grey 6. Actually getting really happy with this piece. I don't think there's much more that I want to do with this piece. Just darken that highlight there as well. Yeah, I'm really happy with how he's turned out. Okay, let's zoom out and have a look at this piece as a whole. So I've zoomed him out, and there we have our border collie. Yeah, I'm really pleased with how he's turned out. I don't think I need to make any tweaks, but if I do, I will add them. But it'll be more just to make this piece my own. So if there's anything that you feel like you need to tweak, do it. Make the piece your own. That's kind of something I want you all to take away from my tutorials, is any final tweaks, I want them to be our own. We've done a few tweaks together and I'm happy with how this is looking. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed following along. If you followed, it was one part longer than I anticipated, but yeah, I'm really pleased with how he's looking. I will hopefully have a new tutorial for you all in the new year, which won't be as long and it'll be a bit of a smaller piece. So if you want to follow along, please subscribe, like the channel, and I will see you all soon. Let me know your feedback as well, if there's anything you'd like to see improved. I want to make this channel for you guys, so if there is anything that you think I need to improve, please let me know. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye everybody.